Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. I am recentering myself after traveling to New Hampshire this weekend for my friend Chandler's birthday, which was a lot of fun. We had a great time at her party. We played, what's it called? Cards Against Humanity, which is always a lot of fun. And then we successfully played the Story Circle game, which is a game that my friend Sonia invented, where you go around a circle and together write a story. So that was the first time we ever completed that game successfully, because usually it gets confusing and things get lost in translation, and we also have trouble reading each other's handwriting. So I'm looking actually really forward to playing that game again and having much more success with it like we did on Saturday. So I like to do thematic focuses for my TBR to kind of break up my monthly reading wrap-ups, because it makes the videos more digestible for everybody so they're not so long. So one of my thematic focuses this month is books with disabled protagonists. So this book is a book I borrowed from my mom. The other books with disabled protagonists that I read, one of them is actually in my bag. It's called This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. This book is called True Biz by Sara Novic. And what I like the best about this book is it's written by an author who is deaf, about high schoolers who go to a school for the deaf. So I really enjoy this book. I went into it not having taken American Sign Language class over Zoom during COVID-19 when I still was working with Plus Company for services. And I had a little bit of trouble learning ASL, honestly, because of my dexterity issues with cerebral palsy. But my experience with taking American Sign Language class was what led me to pick up this book, because I wanted to learn more about the deaf community. So this book was very educational, and I love the fact that it is written by somebody who's deaf. So if you want to read this book, I don't want to spoil it, but I did want to answer one of the discussion questions for you. And that one is, February is hearing, yet is headmistress of a deaf school. Did you have any concerns about this? Why? And I did, because in my opinion, I think it makes more sense for a deaf person to be the headmistress or principal at a deaf school. So that way the kids who are deaf don't have any issues with communications, like no communication barriers with talking with their principal, because I think that's what these kids experienced with talking to February. And I also liked in this book how different generations of people had issues with hearing loss. Like, there were kids who had issues with hearing loss, there were parents who had issues with hearing loss, and there were also grandparents who had issues with hearing loss. So I think it's very cool that there was an intergenerational theme in this book about overcoming challenges. Other books that I read with disabled protagonists this month is the first one was called Cassandra in Reverse. This book was written by a author who has autism like I do, and her name is Holly Smale. And like True Biz, as you can see, it was a Reese's Book Club book. I'm going through her backlist of book club books while Reese Witherspoon's backlist of book club books while I wait for April's book of the month to come in at the library, which still hasn't come in yet, which is frustrating because now it is April 29th, and I am going to be reading the book discussion book for April a month later. But with Cassandra in Reverse, it's kind of like the same type of theme as The Do-Over by Lynn Painter, with the girl trying to go over like her relationship issues over and over again. So the time travel aspect in this book in Cassandra in Reverse, it didn't really make sense to me. It made sense in The Do-Over, but it didn't make sense in this book, like, at all. And I felt like there was an oversaturation of references to Greek mythology. I didn't mind them earlier in the book, but as the book went along, it just got kind of annoying for me. And I understand that was like something that the main character Cassandra was really interested in, but it didn't have to be on every other page. And as far as Cassandra goes, I had mixed feelings about her. I thought she was a very well-written character, but at the same time, she kind of got on my nerves and reminded me too closely of Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory, who I cannot stand. One thing I don't like about Sheldon Cooper is that he's too full of himself and too arrogant, and that is what I saw in Cassie, to be honest. The other book with disabled protagonists that I read was, hang on, I have it in my bag, because I'm bringing it back to the library tomorrow. This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. Now, this is the sequel to Before I Let Go, which Sara read last month and really liked. So this is the sequel to Before I Let Go, and it focuses on the side character in Before I Let Go, Soledad, and focuses on her divorce and how she meets this guy, Judah. And Judah has 2 twin sons who are autistic. And I think that Kennedy Ryan did a really good job in this book of writing autistic kids. And while they were teenage boys, I kind of saw myself in them when I was younger through Kennedy Ryan's writing. That's how she did a great job with capturing this disability. Now we're moving on to memoirs. I have been reading memoirs technically since last month, so this is just a continuation of last month's thematic focus. The first memoir that I wanted to talk about is by Mel Brooks. It's called All About Me. I am reading this book right now, and I am currently on chapter 11. I just finished the chapter where he talks about the producers. I saw the producers in its original run on Broadway back in 2003 when I was in high school on a choir field trip. The Producers is one of my top favorite musicals. It is one of the funniest musicals I have ever seen. And the best part about this book is how it goes into his process of getting into character for the producers. And also, he's the writer of Young Frankenstein, which is another musical that I have seen. I haven't gotten to that chapter yet, I don't think. Maybe I did, when he talks about the creative process behind writing Young Frankenstein. But yeah, Young Frankenstein and the Producers are basically my top 2 favorite musicals. The next memoir I read this month is Hello, Molly by Molly Shannon. For those of you who do not know who Molly Shannon is, if you are in the younger age demographic to me and did not grow up in the 80s and the 90s, Molly Shannon was on Saturday Night Live. She is known for her character, Mary Catherine Gallagher, who was from the movie Superstar. And Superstar was one of my guilty pleasure movies in my teenage years, besides Night at the Roxbury with Will Ferrell, and then the Brady Bunch movie. So I really love how Molly Shannon talks about her experiences on getting the job on Saturday Night Live and what that was like for her. And she also talks about raising her kids, and she ends the book off by this. I always ask Stella and Nolan, do I seem like a stressed out mom or a happy mom? And they say, you seem happy. So that's a bit of a spoiler, but I think it's really cute how she asks her kids if they think she's happy. And I think that's good. The next memoir I read was Finding Me by Viola Davis. I love Viola Davis. She has been one of my favorite actresses for a while. If you have watched the TV show, How to Get Away with Murder, she was on that, and that was one of my favorite TV show characters in a show that I've ever seen, besides Kerry Washington's Olivia Pope from Scandal. And I also read Kerry Washington's memoir this month, Thicker Than Water, which is also highly recommended and very good. So my other favorite Viola Davis movie is called Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which was an Oscar nominee movie last year. And then I can't remember what other movie she was in the past couple of years, but I remember I saw her in something else, and she was really good in that too. So Viola Davis is definitely one of my favorite actresses. In her backlist of movies, one movie that I want to really watch is Night in Rodanthe, which is based on the Nicholas Sparks book, because I read the book earlier this month, and I read Nights in Rodanthe last month. I really love it. Really loved it. The next memoir I want to talk about, I talked about briefly in the March Entertainment wrap-up video that Matt and I did on March 31st, but I wanted to talk about it again because, okay, so I just started to watch The Office for the first time, and I adore that show. It's so funny. My favorite character is Pam, who is played by Jenna Fischer, followed by Phyllis, followed by Oscar, followed by Angela, who is played by Angela Kinsey. And then I also like Daryl, the guy who works in the warehouse. He's pretty funny. And Toby is pretty funny too. So this book is called The Actor's Life, A Survival Guide. And it's Jenna Fischer's memoir about how she got into acting. And the best part about this is that it's very informational. Like, she provides tips on good words to use in your resume. And she also just gives general resume writing tips, which I find very crucial to me because I am going to be auditioning for plays again at the theater that's by my house in like the next year once I start my Vertical Harvest job and get adjusted to that schedule. So I am hoping to use some of her resume writing tips to write my theater resume, to basically sell myself to these directors, because it's been a while since I've been in theater. I was originally going to audition for Legally Blonde, the musical, but I think I need to take a little bit more time off from acting until Vertical Harvest starts, so that way I can get adjusted to my work schedule and see how my rehearsal schedule for theater will work into my work schedule or whatever. So finally, the last section of this video is going to be new releases. I have read 2 anticipated new releases so far this month, and I just started the 3rd one yesterday. The first book I wanted to talk about today is The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. So all of the other booktubers I follow, Rachel, Destiny, Sara, Haley, and Haley Barber, and these lyrics and lines have all talked about A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and raved about it. This is Holly Jackson's newest release. I just got it out of the library on Saturday before we left for Chandler's house. And I am currently on page 52 so far. Not a lot about the murder mystery has started yet. They're just starting to... Basically, this book starts off really slow with, like, introducing you to the rest of the characters and, like, the family dynamics, because this girl, Rachel Price, she disappeared 16 years ago and nobody knows what happens to her. So she has a 16-year-old daughter. Her name is Belle. And her daughter pretty much resents her mother because she abandoned her. And I haven't really gotten to the part yet where Belle is, like, complaining about a lot of stuff, but based on a review on Goodreads I saw about that Destiny posted and that other people have left comments on, I guess Belle is a super annoying character, so I can't wait to read further into this to see if I agree with them. The next new release I wanted to talk about is Just for the Summer by Abby Jiminez. So Abby Jiminez does a really good job of writing characters into her books that have anxiety or other disabilities. That is what I have really liked about her writing, and this book is no different. Like, the main characters in this book, they don't really have any disabilities, but they do have a lot of family trauma, and the main characters in this book, Emma and Justin, really bond over their trauma because Emma basically lives on her own on this island with her friend Maddie because her mother is flaky and doesn't really care about her very much. Her mother is actually a character from a previous Abby Jiminez book, which is called Part of Your World, which I haven't read yet. So I'm going to be borrowing that book from the library soon. So this book is supposedly in the same universe as Part of Your World and Yours Truly. So, the cutest thing about this book is the main character, Justin. One of the discussion questions is Justin an asshole? And I would say that he is not. I would say he's very sweet because he, like, makes up these pre- and post-date questionnaires for Emma to fill out. Like, what do you like to do? What things do you have the most fun doing? How would you rate my personality on a scale of 1 to 10? Like, that just proves that he's sweet and he cares about what Emma thinks and what Emma wants to do. And I also like the dynamic that he has with the siblings that his mother leaves him in charge of when she abandons him. The other discussion question I wanted to answer was, if you could live anywhere for the summer, where would you live? And, well, I live in a place that's pretty summery. I just moved to Maine last February, but, like, if I could live any place for the summer, I would choose my beach house that I go to every year for my family reunion because I grew up there. I have a lot of nostalgia there, and I have a lot of fond memories of that place. Finally, for new releases, this was my most anticipated book, and I was so excited when it came in last week at Longfellow Books. This is Emily Henry's new book, Funny Story. So Emily Henry does a really great job of writing banter in between her romantic leads. In this book, we have Daphne and Miles. and they are both jilted by their significant others on their wedding day. Her boyfriend Peter leaves her for his girlfriend Petra, so they end up bonding over the trauma of their breakups, and the buildup of their relationship is really slow burn, and people are saying that Miles reminds them of Nick Miller from New Girl. And as a fan of New Girl, I would have to say that I agree with that analysis of Miles. He just bubbles over with Nick's personality and reminds me so much of him. And Emily Henry did a really good job of writing his character. And he is just really sweet. He is probably one of my favorite book boyfriends. So this book is set in Minnesota, which is a place where I have never been. Yes, I have, because my cousin lives in Minnesota, but I haven't been there in a long time since his wedding. So Daphne also deals with trauma because her dad abandoned her, and he shows up, sorry for the spoiler if you haven't read it yet, but he shows up later in the story, like after she gets left by her husband at the altar, and she basically has a lot of resentment towards her dad for leaving her, and like that makes me also think of what Matthew Perry talked about in his book about how he was resentful for his dad for a little bit about leaving him when he was a baby. But yeah, I love Emily's writing. Emily Henry has some of the best romance writing in this book, in all of her books. Now I have read all of her books, including this one, and if I could rate her books, this is how I would rate them all. Happy Place is 5 stars, Funny Story and Beach Read are 4 stars, and Book Lovers and People We Meet on Vacation are 3.75 stars. As far as how I would rank the book boyfriends of her books, Gus from Beach Read is number 1, Miles from Funny Story is number 4, and Win from Happy Place is number 7. The characters that round out this list are Miles from Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover, Jacob from Yours Truly by Abby Jiminez, Justin from this book, Jack from Love Theoretically by Allie Hazelwood, Landon from A Walk to Remember by Nicholas Sparks, Will from The Last Song by Nicholas Sparks, who else? I'm missing somebody. Graham from All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover, and oh my gosh, there's one more. Who is it? Jacob from Twilight. So, thank you for tuning in, and the rest of my April reading wrap-up, what's on my May TBR, will be out on Wednesday or Thursday. Have a great day.